The Disappearing Burgers with Ronald McDonald and Friends.
Wow! Hamburglar has a magic kit.
Ooh. Magic. Rubble, cadabra.
I should have known you'd have something like that up your sleeve.
Rubble.
Oh, God!
Oh, mine.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oops.
Now for a little trick
Rubble.
we can all enjoy.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. I'm moving my feet for a taste so neat. That just popcorn taste. Pop, my feet can't stop. Until they pop up nice and hot. Because they taste so good. I'm moving my feet to the Pop-Tart beat. Moving real fast, but they're so romance. Real fruit on the inside, great taste all around. Pop-Tart. I'm moving my feet to the Pop-Tart beat. Because they taste so neat.
I like new Giggles cookies because it's got 2 kinds of cream inside. He likes Giggles' funny face. There's fudge and vanilla cream in each one. I can't believe how good this is.
New Giggles cookies. 2 kinds of cream in each funny face.
Are you going to eat that?
Give me an X. Give me an O. Give me tic-tac-toe. Well, wherever I go, it's X's and O's. Makes me feel so hungry for my tic-tac-toes. They're so tasty.
Chef Boyardee.
Tic-tac-toes. New Tic-Tac-Toes. A good hot meal. And when you get 3 X's or O's on your spoon, you win.
Thank goodness for Chef Boyardee.
Tic-tac-toes. With and without meatballs. Ronald McDonald and Friends in Daydream.
If I had my way, I'd spend every day with Ronald and all of his friends.
Come on, let's have fun.
Ronald would give me a push. I'd look up in the sky, and Birdie'd say, "Hi, Dana," as she came flying by. We play tug of war. I give that old rope a tug. If Grimace falls down, I'd give him a hug. What a good time. What a great place.
Come on, everybody. Let's go to McDonald's.
What a wonderful dream. It would be such fun to do. Dana, we're going to McDonald's. And sometimes happy dreams really come true.
It's a good time for the great days
of McDonald's.
There's something strange in the neighborhood.
So who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
Each sold separately.
Have no fear. Maggie, Steph, and Spangler are here. So are these ghosts. They got ectoplasm. We've been goofed. Now what? Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Let's show this pile of dessert who's boss. Activating Chrono Blaster. We ain't afraid of them ghosts.
Peter Venkman, Ectoplasm, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and other figures each sold separately. Ghostbusters, new from Kenner.
Oh, space exploring is hard work.
Yeah, now I've got to refuel myself.
I know. Let's go to the Milky Way.
That'll hit the spot.
The fun's just starting. Quick, we'll make it rich, chocolatey.
Delicious.
Ah, Quick really puts me in orbit.
Nestle Quick, the taste that gets you going.
A new racing team is shifting into gear. Mask.
Pull over, Bullet. Uh-oh, got a bit of iguana on my tail. Bulldog, prepare to assist.
Mask vehicles each sold separately with a figure.
Kendra with his bike will fuel my blade. Engage hover mode. We're going fishing.
Mask.
Bulldog, fire!
Where illusion is the ultimate weapon. Mask, Bulldog, Iguana, and Bullet each sold separately. New from Kenner.
Since I can't get tricks from kids, I'll make some myself. It's part of this nutritious breakfast. With orangey oranges, lemony lemons, grapey grapes, fruity fruits. Hope I didn't gum it up. Huh? Gummy rabbits in fruity flavors? Uh-oh, I better hide them. But where?
In the box of Silly Rabbit, where you kids will find 4 free
gummy rabbits. Gummy rabbits and treats.
Who put the straw in the high-sea fruit drink? A new cool straw that wiggles and wears. A new long straw in the high-sea fruit drink with vitamin C for me and my friends. Who was that man? I'd like to say his name. He made my high-sea cooler than before.
Those lonely pound puppies really need to be rescued. Pound puppy, I'm so glad to find you. Put that lonely puppy down behind you. You need a name. I'll call you Freckle.
Lots of pound puppies need your love.
After me, Petey.
And when they're this lonely and this lovable, one more is always welcome.
Come sharing all our cousin Karen puppy love.
Pound puppies. Each sold separately. From Tonka.
Here's a very unusual kind of egg that's only around till Easter. The original cream egg from Cadbury, made from Cadbury's rich, smooth dairy milk chocolate. Inside this thick shell, a creamy yellow yolk surrounded by delicious white filling. Cadbury's cream eggs. Why, they're the best thing to come along since the Easter Bunny. And when he's gone, they're gone.
Let a friend push you in, taking drugs, you got it right, can't say no.
I wanna get out with the sunshine, 'cause it's a perfect time to play now. Just my friends who find us fruit roll-up. We're having fun on a Saturday. We love a fruit roll-up. And we're crazy about fruit bars. Real fruit fun, yeah, they're the ones. We love the zany things they do. We love a fruit roll-up. And a fruit bars, fruit bars. Fruit bars and fruit roll-ups.
Time for a balanced breakfast with Cheerios.
You got to go with Cheerios, and the Cheerios help you grow. Cheerios.
Do you believe in magic? You will with your next box of Cheerios. Free inside is a magic trick, like this disappearing coin trick. 7 tricks in all, 1 free in marked boxes of Cheerios. Now do you believe in magic?
You bet I do. Tricks puts the dig in your gig. It puts the boom into your beat. Puts the rhythm in your feet. Keeps you rocking along. Puts the soul into your song. You can keep on moving with tricks. Chocolate caramel satisfaction. Like crispy cookie, get you back in the action.
There's nothing to sticks that Twix can't fix.
You can keep on moving with Twix. Caramel or peanut butter Twix.
The Legoland Solar Power Transporter. You can build this transport pretending you're on Mars. The box shows ways to change it by snapping off the cars. You can snap them back together and get a scouting craft, or match them with the lasers for a base defender craft. You can make up something wild, supercharged and new. The sky's the limit when the team is Legoland and you. There are 19 space sets you can collect, each sold separately. The Solar Power Transporter is part of the Legoland Space Collection and has hundreds of bricks for building from Lego Systems.
Captain O.G. Reedmore here. An ordinary sidewalk on an ordinary day. But did you ever stop to think that you could get away? Take a journey on a rocket. Take a voyage on a ship. Just read a book and off you go, because reading is a trip. Explore a tropic jungle. Ooh. Discover distant planets. Or reach the glacier's tip. Just read a book and off you go, because reading, yes, is a trip.
Hi,
I'm Michael J. Fox, and I'll be right back with One to Grow On.
Last time with Lucky Charms.
Oh, no. Stuck up here with a whale on me rainbow and swirled whale marshmallows in me cereal.
come on, let's get him down. Pull!
Whoa.
Yikes! Oh, we made things worse. How long can it keep them?
And how long will there be swirled whale marshmallows in Lucky Charms? That's still up in the air. But you kids can help Lucky and the whale get down on boxes of Lucky Charms, part of this nutritious breakfast.
I don't know. Come on, lighting matches can be fun.
What's so hot about playing with matches? Every year, thousands of people are hurt or are left homeless by the careless use of fire. Fire is a tool. We cook with it. It keeps us warm. It gives us light. But it can be very dangerous. It is not a toy to be played with. Because if you use fire improperly, it can cause a lot of trouble. It can even cost you your life.
You burn me up, Harry. What's the point of playing with fire when you could burn both of us? Or burn something that we don't want to burn, like my books here? Gee, I never really thought of that. Would you want to do something real fun? Yeah, let's go see the creature that ate Ralph. Now there's a hot idea. Come on.
And that's when to grow on.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's having a good Thursday so far. As I said in chat earlier, this should be interesting because I don't think I've ever reviewed this channel before, and I'm not going to get right into that just yet. This is going to be a stream where I want you guys to get comfortable because we've got some things to go over. Now, today, as we know, is the I don't like to say anniversary, which I'll explain later, but I do it anyway just for the sake of just making things easier on everybody. Because technically it's what it is. An anniversary is merely a milestone of a year. So it's a 2-year anniversary of the day that Summer disappeared. Not the day that Summer got gone, whatever the fuck that means, but the day that Summer disappeared. And I want to emphasize disappeared because that's all we know. That's all we know. So there's going to be some things that I discuss, and I realize that there is the chance that my channel has supporters that support that channel as well. But the thing is you're really missing the essence of what I do and try to do here. I mean, if you're here just for entertainment, that's fine. But you're going to know where I'm coming from. Yeah, no, I don't care if they were Don's own words. There's a lot of things that Don says and does, for the record. There's a lot of things that Don says and does that I don't like. I'm very clear about that. I've never been secretive about that. I've never been coy about that. I've always been very clear about that. But as I was saying, if you support both of these channels, that's fine. But by definition, one of us has to just be for entertainment for you, because what I do here is I call out channels who use true crime to benefit themselves, but in order to benefit themselves, they spread misinformation, they embellish things, they create these ridiculous scenarios without any proof that falsely accuse people. And they are false accusations until they're proven. Make no mistake about that. They are false accusations until they are proven. Now, I can understand there being things related to the actual crime that took place, but in this particular case, there is no crime to be spoken of. Where's the evidence of a crime? Is what I ask you. And this is what's really funny, because I'm surprised I have not gone over this channel before. Now, before we do this, I'm not going to do this improperly. I am going to share, I'm going to go over and share News Nation's video that they released today. We're going to go over that because it's relevant once I go over this other channel's live stream that they did today. Yeah, this is Elvis in a karate suit. You don't know about Elvis and his karate? Yes. There's a lot of creators that are talking about this case today because it is June 15th, where 2 years ago Summer disappeared. Summer disappeared on the day. And I'm not seeing any real shenanigans going on yet, as far as people going to Rogersville or Kingsport. I've not seen any of that. The only reason I have a problem with it is if it's, again, for exploitation, or if it just adds to drama where Summer's name gets lost in the whole thing. That's been my issue. I've been very vocal about that, and I don't change my mind about that. And also, I don't have an issue with it as long as, it turns out to be those who have good intentions. It turns out to work out that way, where there's the good intentions come to light. Everything that they were hoping to happen happens, and it works out, and it turns out to be a beautiful day, because I know they worked hard on it, and I know their intentions are good. But there are other people that are going to be around in that area, more or less, and that bothers me. So I definitely hope that everything works out the way that it is intended to work out. So some also may think, well, why are you going live talking about anything that pertains to this case on the day of June 15th? And well, first of all, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't pointing this stuff out. And I refuse to look at this day the way that it's being made out to be. Let me elaborate as best as I can here. When the word anniversary is used, it just seems to emphasize, excuse me. It seems to emphasize the narrative that this channel and so many others, a few others, have pointed out Soper Girl has it right there. If I treated this day like, you know, let's take this day because it's a special day and out of respect for Summer's memory. Well, Summer's not dead, in my opinion. See, that implies losing hope. I won't do that. There is absolutely no evidence, none at all, that Summer is deceased. Not a shred of it, by the way. Nothing even remotely tangible that says that Summer is deceased. So I'm not going to treat this day like as if it's an anniversary of her death. This is a day that she is missing, just like every other day in the past 2 years. So I'm going to discuss this just like it was any other day. And these people don't get a pass from me because they're using this day to imply that she's dead. And I'm just not with that. Now, I want you to see something. We're going to go over something here. And I want you to see this. I haven't even watched this yet. I read an article that's tied to it. So I'm sure a lot of the stuff that's in the article is probably word for word as to what's in this video, but it's a pretty long video, and I'm glad that News Nation did this. And Cherry, if you could share the link to News Nation, I'd really appreciate it. Oh my God.
I'm Marnie Hughes, and this is Missing on News Nation. Thank you for being with us. Each and every week here at News Nation, we focus on a missing persons case from across the country, taking you behind the scenes, behind the headlines, because every missing person matters, no matter their background or their past, their race or their circumstances. They are missed by their family, their friends, their community, and sometimes by complete strangers. It is our mission to bring these cases to light with the hopes of finding answers and also offering closure. Maybe you can help us solve some of these mysteries too by listening and being engaged in the stories. This is Missing. And today, our missing case is one we have covered before. It's been 2 years since a little girl from Tennessee vanished from her rural home. Her name is Summer Wells, and her case has captivated people across the country. We have a brand new age progression.
She said rural so clearly. Oh, I just did. Did I say it clearly? Oh, man, I'm getting better.
Photo to share with you from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in this case. And this shows what Summer would likely look like today. She was 5 when she disappeared. She would be 7 years old now. All of the attention in this case has led to no tips, no leads for investigators, but it has led to harassment towards her parents, and they have been at the center of the investigation. Law enforcement remain tight-lipped about what they know and what they have as evidence. But Summer's father did sit down with News Nation recently.
You see what just happened there? You see what she, like, I mean, I hold on. Because I find that extremely interesting that they would
know and what they have as evidence. But Summer's father did sit down with News Nation recently.
I messed up.
He maintains his innocence and he wants to keep his daughter's story in the headlines.
I didn't go further enough.
This is Summer Wells. The 5-year-old lived at this house in Rogers of the investigation. This has led to no tips, no leads for
led to no tips and no leads for investigators,
but it has led to harassment towards her parents, and they have been at the center of the investigation.
So this is what tragedy pimps are going to do, guaranteed. Without a doubt. Those words right there, they're just going to cherry pick the last part of that. No tips, right? And harassment of her parents. Make no mistake, they clearly said harassment of her parents. And then they said who were at the center of the investigation. Now, at no point do I remember Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying, we're looking at the parents closely because they're the center of investigation. At no point did they say that. Okay? So they're going to take something from a tabloid news source. Make no mistake, News Nation is a tabloid news source. I'm not saying that I have a problem with this video. I'm saying that they're a tabloid news source. What they're saying is not gospel. And yet somehow they still manage to be more respectful than any other YouTube channel. They still manage to engage with tact. Maybe not so much empathy every time, but with tact.
Law enforcement remain tight-lipped about what they know and what they have as evidence. But Summer's father did sit down with News Nation recently. He maintains his innocence and he wants to keep his daughter's story in the headlines. This is Summer Wells. The 5-year-old lived at this house in Rogersville, Tennessee, a tight-knit community of less than 5,000 people. On June 15th, 2021, her parents say Summer was helping plant flowers with her mom and grandmother.
And she wanted to go into the house. My wife watched her go into the door, and she went into the house, and the boys were on the internet, of course. She wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys.
I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight.
2 years after her parents, Don and Candace Wells, gave those accounts, that's still all we know about the last time Summer was seen. Almost immediately, Summer's parents became the center of a police investigation.
Summer's parents, Candace and Dawn, had something to do with this, or have you ruled that out?
We haven't ruled anything out. Everything's possible.
Could she have gotten herself into a situation where it wasn't her fault, but
no,
you know what I mean?
No, she's a good mother. She loves her children. She's not going to allow any situation like that. The biggest mistake she might have made is maybe choosing some wrong friends, which is, it happens.
Don Wells pleaded guilty to driving under the influence last year. Candace also filed an order of protection against him, but asked for it to be dismissed.
And I've heard people bring that up. That clip right there where Don says, well, the worst thing I can think of is she had some of the wrong friends. Everyone took that into, that spun into rumors about them being involved with a cartel. What? Wait, what? This is what I'm saying. This is a tabloid news source. And they put the shit out there. But at no point did somebody sit there and comment and go, I think that's fishy. Brian didn't go, that's fishy. The commentator didn't go, that's fishy. You know what I mean? They didn't do that. all they did was clip that. But they got him saying, she's a good mother. She loves her kids. I can't think of anything except maybe. That sounded to me like he was thinking out loud, not trying to think of a lie. He was thinking out loud, trying to be cooperative with Brian Enton, believing that Brian Enton is there to help. That has been Don Wells' MO this entire time. Every YouTuber that has exploited Don Wells on their channel has reeled him in by saying, I'm here to help you find your daughter. I'm here to help. They've all pitched him that shit. And then guess what happens? But my point being that Don, in that clip right there, is the same guy that I see all the time looking for anybody that is putting Summer's name out there as someone he is looking to for help.
He now faces criminal charges in 3 states, including a domestic assault arrest in 2020. 2 years later, investigators have not charged either Don or his wife in connection to Summer's disappearance.
Everybody makes mistakes, and we all have to learn and go on. We're doing better. It's still very rough for my wife.
Don Wells sat down with News Nation to talk about where the case stands today. His wife hasn't sat down for an interview.
You know what I find really interesting? News Nation is a tabloid news source. And I mean, we're almost halfway through this entire piece. I haven't heard the names Jody Sue Brown yet. I haven't heard about Hunter and Hunter's mom. All of these names that YouTubers have decided to throw into the mix and make the case more interesting, more fascinating, more attractive. I haven't heard any of those names yet. So okay.
Since this appearance on Dr. Phil in 2021, where she walked out of an interview in Texas.
No, I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I am.
We'll stop. I want you to feel comfortable.
Since Summer's disappearance, Don says their life has been consumed by harassment from people online who believe they're responsible for whatever happened to Summer.
Before you know it, you're getting a mob going. My wife could go to the store and somebody would scream at her, baby killer.
He sent us videos from one of his job sites where some people were demanding to speak with him about
Look at those idiots.
the case.
Oh.
Don says it's gotten so bad he had to leave the state. Now the two live in a motel in Arkansas, where Don was able to find a new job. As for Summer's case, Don says they have private investigators working with police. The Hawkins County Sheriff's Office is still working alongside the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Both agencies declined to give us an interview. Don says he hasn't learned anything new from police, but has always said he believes Summer was abducted. In the past, the sheriff said there's no evidence that happened.
Nothing pointing to abduction, nothing pointing to foul play, other than her walking outside the house and not being found.
There was also a key tip from a neighbor in 2021. A woman and her teen children told police they heard a scream about an hour before Summer went missing.
I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
But the sheriff said after multiple interviews, that tip led nowhere. One clue they're still looking for is a pickup truck seen in the area around the time Summer vanished. It's described as...
If you were an asshole in my chat... Like, I guarantee you got hidden from my chat because you were being an asshole. But there's a new venture. If you were an asshole in my chat, $100 super chat gets you unhidden if I hid you.
As a red or maroon Toyota truck with ladders on the back. Even if it's found, police aren't sure if the truck is connected to the case.
I do have hope. Whatever the outcome is, I have hope in God. One day, either sooner or later, I will be with my daughter again.
The sheriff did decline an interview in the case. He emailed us, however, saying he expects to update us on the case in the near future. In the meantime, Don and Candace have 3 boys. They have been taken by Child Services. That happened a month after Summer's disappearance. Don says they have not been allowed to talk or see their boys in half a year, but he does hope that he gets them back. I want to show you once again the age progression photo of Summer Wells, what she would look like now, as I welcome in our News Nation reporter from that area of the country, Johnson City, Tennessee, Ansley Daniel. She's been on this case since the beginning. Ansley, thank you for being here. As we look at this age progression.
Brianna, thank you. The painting they showed off of the 5 of them a minute ago, Candace is absolutely beautiful in it. Summer looks like her mama with her daddy's eyes. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Progression of what Summer would look like now 2 years later. What impression are you getting from law enforcement as to why they're releasing this now, the timing of this new photo?
So the last time I spoke to TBI was via email. They are not doing any updates this year. They held a press conference last year on...
Now, let me say this real quick, because God, I love these people in my chat, dude. Before I get into that, I'll go over the age progression thing again after this is done. But yeah, you people kill me. Now, what? Excuse me. One thing that nobody seems to be thinking about, because if the TBI thinks that Summer is dead, well, why would they release this age progression photo? I mean, they're the ones who released it. I mean, why would they release that? Why would they have it done and release it? It doesn't make sense.
On the 1-year anniversary. However, they did tell us that Summer would not have been eligible for an age progression photo until she had been missing for 2 years. This is through the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have a team of forensic artists. I actually spoke with someone from that organization yesterday. And so apparently it takes 2 years for these children to even be eligible for these photos. And unfortunately, this seems to be the only update that we're going to be getting in this case on this 2-year anniversary.
Ansley, as I said to you a moment ago when we were on the air for News Nation Live, there is so much interest in this case. As soon as we said we would be revisiting it, and it is one of the first missing cases that we covered, the emails started pouring in. People care about this case now, 2 years later, just as much as they did when Summer first went missing. I have a lot of questions from viewers, and I'm going to try to get to some of them. Some may be difficult to answer, but you're closer to the case than most. I want to begin with a question from Betty in Florida, and she says, does law enforcement have any person of interest or suspects in the case, or have they, throughout the investigation, any evidence discovered?
Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking?
Betty in Florida, and she says, does law enforcement have any person of interest or suspects in the case, or have they, throughout the investigation, any evidence discovered that supports the theory that Summer had been abducted? Can you shed any light on that question?
You know that was fucking butthurt Betty, bro. You know it was. Dude, like, why did they specify abducted? Like, that email has an attacking tone. And I feel like they took her question on purpose. I want to see if News Nation is passive aggressive towards Betty. I feel like they're gonna rise above it, but let's break down the email first. Does law enforcement have any person of interest or suspects in the case? Okay, right there, coming from a place that they think she's dead, right? Automatically coming from a place where they think that Summer's dead. Has any evidence been discovered that supports Summer Wells being quote unquote abducted? Bro, people, if it quacks like a duck, if it waddles like a duck, then the duck's name is Betty, then it's got to be Betty the duck. It's got to be Betty the duck.
Question from Betty.
So since the very beginning, law
Hold
enforcement.
on. You saw how she gritted her teeth? Hold on. Let's see that one more time. Wait, let's watch the one on the right. Watch watch the lady who's being asked the question.
So since the very
one more
beginning,
time, one more time.
So since
Betty.
So since the very beginning.
Hold on, one more time.
Ducky.
Let's hear her ask the question.
Question from Betty.
You heard how she said Betty?
You lied on that question from Betty.
She said that shit all mean from Betty. They hate her over there, bro. Look, one more time.
Lied on that question from Betty.
From Betty. Here we go.
So since the very beginning, law enforcement said that everyone is a suspect in this case, meaning her parents, people who were close to her at church, anybody in the family, such as her grandmother, maybe even implying to other members of the family and neighbors. So again, law enforcement has not ruled anyone out 2 years later. However, nobody has been charged. So I think that that's important to kind of say both of those things, that again, everybody is on the table when it comes to being a suspect. However, 2 years later, there are no charges. Now, when it comes to the abduction theory, law enforcement has not given us any information or evidence that supports that. However, they also have not given us any evidence that goes against that claim. I do know that back a few months after Summer was reported missing, her father did take some of us out on a dog trail near their house. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this area, but where they live is very rural. They live up on top of a hill, and it's kind of hard to get to their house. However, they did say that the police dogs, that their scent of Summer kind of stopped at the end of the dog trail there. Police haven't really made a big deal about that like Summer's parents have. So unfortunately, that really led to nowhere. But when it comes to that abduction claim, again, law enforcement hasn't, gone for that, or they also haven't denied it really.
One other question that we get about possible people connected to this family is about the grandmother who was, according,
gone for that, or they also haven't claim. Again, law enforcement hasn't, gone for that, or they also haven't denied it really.
One other question.
Enforcement that really made a big
I want to hear the wording correctly. My bad.
Deal about that like Summer's parents have. So unfortunately, that really led to nowhere. But when it comes to that abduction claim, again, law enforcement hasn't, gone for that, or they also haven't denied it really.
One other question that
so far they're fucking nowhere. Just plain nowhere.
We get about possible people connected to this family is about the grandmother who was, according to reports and investigators, there the day that Summer was last seen. Evelyn from South Dakota is asking about the grandmother and what she has said about the day Summer disappeared.
So I actually interviewed the grandmother. Her name is also Candace. I interviewed her back in March of last year. That was the first time she had spoken on camera. She walked us through that day. From what I remember, she was in the hospital that morning and they were out and about here in Kingsport, kind of the largest town near where they live, getting some medicine and things of that nature throughout the day. She told us that they ended up going back home and that she and Summer were planting flowers in her garden. She lived on the property with them at the time. And she said that Summer then went inside of the house and Candace, her daughter, Summer's mother, asked the boys to watch her. And that was the last time she had seen Summer. They, again, have not ruled her out as not being a suspect, have not said she is a suspect. But again, they said everybody is on the table when it comes to this.
Mods, I'm getting complaints that you guys are extremely eye ignorant. Can you guys please stop being eye ignorant in the chat? Okay? That shit is not tolerated here. There's no doxing. There's no harassment, and there's definitely no I ignorant. Watch it, mods.
This case. I know that there have been some questions about her grandmother leaving the state. A lot of people have asked if that was connected to this. She's been cleared to do so. According to what she told me in that interview, the law enforcement agencies told her she was free to go as long as, she answered their phone calls when they did call. But that was the last we have heard from Summer's grandmother. When I spoke to Don last Friday, he said that she was not in Arkansas with them. He wouldn't really give me too much information about where he is. He made it seem like he didn't even know where she is. So at this point, I can't tell you where Summer's grandmother is or how connected or even disconnected she is to the case.
Understood. The other question that comes up in a lot of submissions that we're getting is echoed here in a question from Maggie from Australia, and she's asking about contact with the 3 boys. What more did Don say about why the boys were taken from them in the first place?
You guys are killing me in the chat.
So
right
back
now.
in the beginning, when all of this happened, they were taken away about a month after Summer was reported missing. I went to some of those hearings. I was not allowed inside the courtroom, but did speak with Don and Candace afterwards. At the time, they told us that it was just because it was not safe for them to be at the home. At the time, there was a lot of YouTube speculation happening. There were a lot of people, according to them, coming onto their property and things of that nature. When I spoke with Don last week, he said that Child Protective Services made it seem that it was a little too traumatizing for them to speak with the boys. He wouldn't really elaborate on that, but that was the final statement he gave when it came to his boys. We unfortunately don't know too much about their case, where they're at, or how.
Oh my God, traumatizing for the boys. Did you guys hear that? I'm a tragedy pimp. Listen. It was traumatizing for the boys. Don said it himself. It came from him that it would be traumatizing to the boys. You know what that tells me? That tells me that they experienced the traumatic situation the day that Summer disappeared. They saw something and they were witness to it, and it's too traumatizing to them. But even though CPS knows this, they haven't been charged with a crime. TBI doesn't know it. Okay, and Hawkins County, they don't know it. Okay, just so you know. Okay, but CPS knows it because they just told Don. Don just admitted it, that they were traumatized from that day Summer went disappearing, and that's, you guys heard it. You heard it.
How they're even doing, because that case is sealed, as most cases like that are. But this one has been extremely tight-lipped. Now, Don did tell me that when he was in jail, he was able to write letters and things of that nature to the boys. But he said that when he got out of jail in February of last year, I believe, was when we had that conversation. He did tell me that he hadn't heard from them since he was released from jail, and that's when all the communication stopped.
And I think the biggest thing, Ansley, as we have these discussions with Don, and we had ours as well, is the biggest question of all is, what do you think happened to your daughter? Did you have anything to do with it? When asked that question, how did he respond to you?
He continues to maintain that he and Candace believe that Summer was abducted. That is their theory. He did tell me that the two of them have kind of played the day back over and over again, and that in his mind, there's no other option, that she was abducted. He said that Summer knew to not run off from the house. Again, they do live in a very wooded area. That area is hard to get to. Their house is way up on a hill. In my opinion, you have to have a reason to be going to their house. So I do, see where he might be coming from. However, law enforcement, they have not given anything to back up that claim when it comes to the abduction. The only thing we had to go off of was, like you mentioned earlier, the red truck. That hasn't really been mentioned since law enforcement put that information out. And then they also said that there were no cell phones that pinged that day. So again, it's just kind of one of those things where she really, there's just no answers 2 years later, and it's frustrating for all parties involved.
Yeah. And for the community members who wonder, if something like this happened, are other kids at risk, right? A very valid question. I want to get quickly to 2 more questions before I welcome in our next guest. I have less than 10 minutes, so I feel like I'm up against the clock.
Again, I can't see the memberships with the comments. But thank you, Deepak Mocktail. Will, your mods are bad ass. Love it here. Oh man, don't blow their heads up. Stop it right now. They're pretty good. No, I love them. They're amazing.
We've got so many people who want to ask questions. This is from Cassie, and she's asking specifically, Ansley, about searches inside and outside the Wells home, canines that were involved in those searches. Did any evidence turn up then or now?
Like I mentioned before, the only evidence that we were really aware of was the dog trail incident. We were told that Summer scent stopped at the end of the dog trail there. Law enforcement did tell us that there was a change in pavement to wooded area. So sometimes the dogs can react to the change in pavement. Obviously, there's going to be different scents when it comes to pavement and wooded areas. So again, that's really the main piece of evidence that we have from law enforcement. But like I mentioned before, they've been really quiet since the 1-year anniversary. It's been very difficult to get in touch with the sheriff in the case. We've been reaching out to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We've had a few email responses, but they declined all of our asking for interviews. So it's been, like I said, kind of difficult when it comes to the evidence in this case. Law enforcement just hasn't really told us much, and they say that when they have something, they'll let us know.
Did the parents in any other...
Now, why do you think that is? Let's explore that for a second. Let's speculate as to why law enforcement refuses to give any statements or interviews in regards to this case at this point. I mean, there's nothing to say, so that's one reason. But in the past, what they've done is updated us on the fact that there's really nothing to report on. There's no, but they'll tell us this from their own mouths. They will hold a press conference, or they'll do an on-air interview with someone, and they'll say, at this time, we can't share that information, blah, blah, blah. We don't know. Everyone's a suspect. Everyone is a person of interest until we don't know any better. I mean, that's what they're going to do. And now they're not even doing that. Anybody care to wonder why? Because if I'm wondering why, I'm going to say it's because of irresponsible YouTubers spinning crazy narratives, and I'm including Dawn in this shit. Okay? Dawn added to all this shit too. But the fact is anything that is said, anything that's said by anyone in regards to this case is going to get spun. It's going to get manipulated, and it's going to get blown out of proportion, and rumors just start flying, and then idiots flood their tip lines. And they don't have the resources. Between the FBI, the TBI, and the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, they don't have enough resources to sift through the bullshit tips and the credible, reliable ones. I mean, does anybody bother to ever think what it's like to be the person who has to answer that tip line? And if somebody actually had real empathy for that person, then what they would do is say, well, I don't really want to waste their time. I want to make sure I'm sure of something because I don't want to waste. Dude, if I call 911 because I don't have the police's number and I know it's not an emergency, I'm practically pleading with the dispatcher, like, I'm really sorry to waste your resources like this. I couldn't find the number to the police department, to the local police department, so I just called 911. So if you could just connect me, but thank you. It's not an emergency. I just want to be clear about that. It's not an emergency. So it's like not priority. But what are these people thinking when they're calling the TBI tip line? What they're thinking, because if they have the audacity in the first place to fucking do that without any fucking credible information or the common sense to realize that their information isn't credible, what's going to happen is, or the reason why they're calling is because they're the type of people who think that they have all the answers. They ignore this and focus on this because they think that they have all the answers. Because two things seem to make sense together. And they want to be the YouTuber or the subscriber or supporter of the YouTuber that solved the case. I was the hero and I called the TBI. No, you're the asshole that called the TBI. That got lost in a sea of other assholes that called the TBI in all of this in the last 2 years. That's all you did. That's all you are. An asshole in a fucking sea of other assholes.
Family members take a polygraph early on in the investigation?
We were told in the beginning that both of her parents took a polygraph. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe her grandmother also told me that she took a polygraph test as well. They told us that they all came back clean. So I'm not sure about her brothers. Obviously, her brothers are juveniles, so they wouldn't release that information to us anyways. Obviously, they told us that I do believe in the beginning that both of her parents.
I got to hear this.
We were told in the beginning that both of and they say that
I gotta
know
I gotta know who they're talking about real quick. Sorry, I was looking at chat and talking.
To the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We've had a few email responses, but they declined all of our asking for interviews. So it's been, like I said, kind of difficult when it comes to the evidence in this case. Law enforcement just hasn't really told us much, and they say that when they have something, they'll let us know.
Did the parents and any other family members take a polygraph early on in the investigation?
Listen up.
We were told in the beginning that both of her parents took a polygraph. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe her grandmother also told me that she took a polygraph test as well. They told us that they all came back clean. So I'm not sure about her brothers. Obviously, her brothers are juveniles, so they wouldn't release that information to us anyways. But
okay. So what they just said was that the TBI emailed them and told them that they wouldn't do an interview, but that they just confirmed, or she just confirmed, that the TBI told her that they both took polygraph tests and passed. So that right there basically shuts down everyone saying, well, we never heard law enforcement say that they took a polygraph. There's no proof that they took a polygraph. If this person is anyone who gives a fuck about her reputation and wants a career in news, she's not going to misquote the TBI in this case. Guaranteed. Yeah, no, it's true. Only Dawn and Candace. She did also say, all right, let me address this. She did also say that Candace's mom told her that she didn't take. No, hold on. You're saying that. No, look, hold on. I'll play it one more time.
As of now, I can't believe her grandmother also told me that she took a polygraph test as well. They told us that they all came back clean. So I'm not sure about her brothers. Obviously, her brothers are juveniles, so they wouldn't release that information to us anyways. But
okay, they don't have that information about the brothers. They don't have the information about the juveniles, about the minors. The parents don't. She wouldn't say Don and Candace wouldn't release that information to us. She would say the authorities can't release that information to us. You don't think Don and Candace at some point on one of these YouTube channels would have said, yeah, we heard the boys took a polygraph test and they passed. She is definitely referring to the TBI in that statement. She's definitely referring to the TBI in that statement.
But her brother, we investigate law enforcement nation. We've had a few email responses, but they declined. We've been reaching out to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We've had a few email responses, but they declined all of our asking for interviews. So it's been, like I said, kind of difficult.
Email responses. They've had email responses, but declined interviews.
When it comes to the evidence in this case, law enforcement just hasn't really told us much. And they say that when they have something, they'll let us know.
Did the parents and any other family members take a polygraph early on in the investigation?
Okay, so this is why I'm taking that as the TBI told them that. I believe these questions were set up. I believe that they had time to rehearse their answers. I believe that this isn't an on-the-fly thing where she's talking to her. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a professional news channel. They made sure that this was, so they're still on the subject of the TBI. She's still on the subject of the TBI. She asked, did the parents take a polygraph or anything of that nature? Did they say anything? Hold on, I don't want to misquote her.
Graph early on in the investigation? Family members
say that when they have something, they'll let us know.
Did the parents and any other family members take a polygraph early on?
Okay, she didn't say, did the parents say that they took a polygraph or any members of the family early on? She's still on the subject of the TBI. She's asking, did the parents take a polygraph?
On in the investigation?
We were told in the beginning that both of her parents.
We were told in the beginning that both of her parents, both of Summer's parents. She didn't say, Don told me. She didn't say Don and Candace told me. We were told in the very beginning that they, Summer's parents, were given a polygraph test. Listen up.
We were told in the beginning that both of her parents took a polygraph. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe her grandmother also told me that she took a polygraph test as well. They told us that they all came back clean. So I'm not sure.
That's confusing because she threw the grandmother in there saying that she took a polygraph. That's where I could see you guys could have gotten confused. But I think the grandmother told me that she took a polygraph test as well.
Sure about her brothers. Obviously, her brothers are juveniles, so they wouldn't release that information to us.
Right. The TBI would not release that information. But Don and Candace wouldn't even have that information. They don't know anything about their kids. They don't have any contact with them. They don't have any rights over them right now. So they would be included in them not being allowed that information. So it's the TBI is her source. She never faltered from, thank you, True Crime Dime, for pointing that out, because I'm actually really glad that I went through this step by step. There's no room for mistakes here.
Anyways, but as of now, I do know that Dawn and Candace and her grandmother did all pass their polygraph test in the beginning of this case.
Okay. She knows. She just said, I know that Dawn and Candace and her grandmother. So she just messed up when she said she told me. Maybe she was referring to the she that she was talking to was the spokesperson for the TBI, who was always in the press conferences and is a female, right? So that's what she meant by she. Let's hear this last statement one more time, just to be clear. I don't want any
Candace
mistakes.
and her grandmother did all pass their polygraph test. As of now, I do know that Dawn and Candace and her grandmother did all pass their polygraph test. As of now, I do know that Dawn and Candace and her grandmother did all pass their polygraph test. As of now, I do know that Dawn and Candace and her grandmother did all pass their polygraph test in the beginning of this case.
Well, the interest in Summer's disappearance has not dwindled. Even 2 years later, there are so many people who care about this little girl. Ansley Daniel with our station in Johnson City, Tennessee. I know that you...
That is absolutely, according to this news source, confirmed by the TBI, that when they said they took polygraph tests, they passed. Dawn and Candace were telling the truth about the polygraph tests. That is unmistakable. That is a news source that is a tabloid news source, mind you, but they're not going to misquote the TBI. She is directly quoting the TBI. And according to this news source, the TBI has confirmed that Dawn and Candace were telling the truth at the beginning of this case when they took their polygraph tests and passed. Lawson said they took polygraph tests.
That you will continue to update us as you get more information, and we will continue to stay on it. Thank you for your time. We're not done talking about this. I want to welcome in Chris McDonough now. He's a former homicide detective with 13 years experience in that field. He's also a podcaster.
Thank you for having me on
the
News
Wells
Nation.
home after Summer Wells disappeared to look.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. I've been pimping this case since the beginning of this case. I've exploited the shit out of this little girl and her family, and I am basically directly responsible for all of the fucking idiots that have shown up to her house.
To look at the circumstances in which she was living, and he is with us now on the phone. Chris, thank you for being with us. As you're listening to my conversation with Ansley, and I do want to highlight, we've got so many people sending in questions about this case. What stands out to you from an investigative standpoint, that a stone that may still be left unturned?
You know, Marnie, what stands out to me right now is the fact that Hawkins County has said they're going to give an update soon. So what that indicates is this has been an active investigation, very tight-lipped, behind the scenes, with probably FBI, TBI, and of course Hawkins County at the point. So there is something going on that the sheriff felt that he would say something, but just not yet. So that tells me that this case is definitely headed for some type of revelation.
And what do you make of a newly released time progression, age progression photo that they put out, the Tennessee?
Now, I want to agree with that. Okay? I would say the same thing. Now, I'm not a former investigator like Chris McDonough, but I would actually agree that if they're saying we will have updates soon, that tells me that they are leading down a path that they feel confident. So that's what I'm getting out of that. But that does not mean that they are going to be arresting Dawn or Candace anytime soon. That does not mean that they are guilty of anything. And for Chris McDonough to imply that is extremely irresponsible until it happens. Because until then, these are the parents of a missing child. Whether you like them, whether you like their lifestyle, whether you like the way they've presented themselves on YouTube channels is completely fucking irrelevant. What matters is when there are charges and there is an affidavit that can be discussed. Period. Or them at least saying, we absolutely suspect. If they say, like they did Leilani Simon, Dawn Wells or Candace Bly are our suspects. Until that happens, because then I'm going to go, oh, okay. But until that happens, these are parents with a missing child that you could be living next door to. All shapes and sizes, all over the world, all over the country. But it doesn't mean people don't love their kids. It doesn't mean that people are going to deal with a situation like this the way that you would. Doesn't mean any of that. Oh, he made it a circus. I blame him directly for the spark.
Bureau of Investigation put out as recently as a day ago. Here we're showing that on our screen for our viewers.
Yeah, I think that is great because obviously that is a protocol from Nick, the missing and exploited NCMEC, right? And so when they do that, it's just in case.
I just wanted to, call it MCMEC because, those of us who are experienced investigators, we use abbreviations and we sound them out if their consonant vowels work out together in the abbreviation. Missing exploited children, we call it MCMEC. Yeah, missing exploited children, MCMEC. I'm glad I thought of that then. Yeah. I'm glad I'm off camera because I'm patting myself on the back right now. I've actually got my own head in between my legs. I'm glad I'm off camera.
The child is out there due to the Amber Alert. And, if somebody sees that child, they want to obviously put out the most current potential, view of what she would look like.
I think the thing that so many people have a hard time reconciling is she was on her property, her family was around, her mom and grandma were there, her brothers were there reportedly, and she just vanishes. There's no evidence of an abduction that took place. The dogs picked up a scent. What do you pick up on based on what evidence has been released publicly that just is peculiar that sticks in your mind?
Well, I think, the first thing that everybody has to consider is what they call the victim risk continuum. The 5-year-olds just don't vanish from their basements. And suspects don't take that type of risk as well. If this is a stranger abduction, then
Wait, what? So you expect me, those of you that support this dickhead, you expect me to respect something like that coming out of a former investigator's mouth, where he just said that a suspect would never take the risk of kidnapping a child from their own property? How many cases, people? How many cases? How the fuck can that guy say that shit with a straight face to people with common sense? What?
The suspect is going to weigh out his risk to go up into that property, and the stars align where a 5-year-old is in a basement. So right away, the authorities, when they went up on that property, that's the information that they were faced with, that this was, from the parents, a stranger abduction. Well, statistically, when you measure that against the victim risk continuum, where you look at low, medium, and high risk environment, situation, and circumstance, this is a very low risk situation, almost like an Elizabeth Smart, where she's asleep in her bedroom. Well, this is a 5-year-old in a basement. And so that victim risk continuum tells the authorities there is a higher probability that the suspect was known to the...
His whole theory is based on that. His whole theory is based on her being in the basement, without entertaining the possibility that maybe she wasn't in the basement. Maybe she came out of the basement. Maybe the kids were watching TV, didn't even see where she went. I mean, so this top-notch investigator, right, experienced, top-notch investigator is dismissing any other possibility and basing his whole theory on, boom, she was in the basement. Yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot.
The property and or is part of the property, and it could potentially be involved in the disappearance of this child.
I want to point out to people, and some of the video we've seen on the screen has been yours. You toured this home and went into this peculiar kind of basement bedroom situation where Summer was living, where she slept. Explain to us what you saw when you were there 2 years ago.
Well, you know, when I went into the property at the invitation of Mom, and the first thing that struck me, obviously, was this was no type of living conditions for any children at all. I mean, it was very difficult, but, you know, my experience.
Yeah. Hey, dickhead, why do you think CPS was involved? Not your jurisdiction, homie. That's not your department, bro. You're on the wrong floor, guy. All right? You're on the wrong floor. Okay? That's for CPS. That has nothing to do with a disappearance or not a disappearance.
Experiences, you know, 25 years in law enforcement, and as a homicide investigator, I'd seen this many, many times before. However, when she showed me how to get into the basement, that struck me as a possibility of could something have happened on the stairwell going down into that basement with a 5-year-old, because Mom says the child went into the basement through that stairwell. When I got into that stairwell, it was dark, and you go down into this basement area, and it felt, you know, it was dark. It was moldy in terms of the mist. There were disheveled beds in there on both sides. And it really struck me is what this child was facing. And that also gave me a better indication of why Child Protective Services may have been involved from the get-go.
One thing that both Don said, I don't know that Candace ever said this.
That has nothing to do. All he said was that is in connection to that was, well, as an investigator, I've seen conditions like this in homicide investigations and missing persons investigations. Yeah, I'm sure you have, bro. I'm sure you've seen them in domestic violence situations. I'm sure you've seen them in burglary situations. I'm sure you've seen them in fucking fraud situations. The fuck does that have to do with anything? Come on, bro. You're gonna have to do a little bit better than that. You're gonna, those of us over here with common sense, you're gonna have to do a little bit better than that.
But he was criticized for saying it, and it raised a lot of questions. Was that maybe Candace had made some bad friends, some people that she shouldn't have been hanging out with, that they welcomed into their lives. Did she talk about that when you had a conversation with her, and in the months subsequently, why he would say that?
You know, she didn't mention that, and I don't recall him saying that to me, Marty, but, you know, Candace, when I spoke to her, she was telling things, I thought, at some point from her heart. But at the same time, my experience also told me she was not being 100% truthful, and there was just something more there. I don't know what that is, if this was an accident, if this was, you know, something that...
Bro.
You're lying. And you're a piece of shit.
They knew somebody they knew, and, you know, that type of situation.
What?
So it's a real mystery.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I suspect the authorities are going to unwind it, and we'll see some, you know, things taking place in the near future.
That is my hope and prayer, Chris, that this comes to a resolution and that little girl is out there somewhere alive and we can find her safely. Chris McDonough.
Now, you see, this is hold on. Let me just
former
wrap this
homicide
up.
detective. Thank you for your time and your insight in this case. Also to Ansley Daniel with our station in Johnson City, Tennessee. To you for the many questions and your concern about Summer Wells. Once again, the age progression photo of Summer. She would now be 7 years old. Police just releasing that this week in the case. If you want more information on her disappearance and the case, you can go to newsnationnow.com. We'll be back with another missing case next week. And if you have information that can help authorities in this one, please call the number on your screen. I'm Marnie Hughes in Chicago. This is Missing.
All right. So if Chris McDonough was the best that they could do to scrape up someone as a guest, that tells me, A, even though they're trying to be a credible news source, they're not a credible news source. And B, this is just possible that even they believe that Don and Candace are guilty of something. Now, or C, they just can't resist because they're a tabloid fucking news station. But they can have someone like Chris McDonough come up there and spin this narrative, and they get to be like, hey, man, we just had him as a guest. We didn't say none of that. That was him. Talk to him. You can't sue us if we're wrong. Because News Nation likes the drama too. They're a tabloid news station, people. So I was with everything up until they got to the Chris McDonough point. I was like, yeah, I mean, how seriously do you expect me to take you? I don't get it. Now, so I woke up today, and one of the first things I thought about was that it was June 15th. It was just one of the first things that I thought of. And immediately I go to YouTube, just prepare myself for what I'm going to be in for today. And sure enough, this channel comes on, and I noticed there's some of their supporters in chat, but I mean, if you're jumping on a bandwagon of throwing shade at people, and this is the thing, I remember dealing with people like this, or these people actually, briefly during the Gannon Stauch investigation. And I was the only one calling people out, jumping to conclusions about Letitia. Now, the fact is, these channels were correct. But there wasn't enough information other than her behavior on social media and with her back turned to that camera in that interview that made her look guilty. So I was like, be careful, because somebody just might, you don't like the way they look. It doesn't mean that they're guilty, careful with that shit. And this channel was one of the channels jumping all over that bandwagon. But they're also one of those channels that had this attitude of, if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. It looks, look at how she looks. Look at how she's behaving. I mean, I just prefer to not take that route because, as I've said, I'd rather be wrong about someone's guilt than wrong about their innocence. Meaning, if I if I'm saying I'm not ready to say you're guilty, and then you turn out to be guilty, I'm okay with that. I didn't do anything wrong. I can guess wrong. That's okay. I'd rather be on the side of that, where if it turns out that you are innocent, I'm not going to have anything to apologize for. And I could tell myself that I had empathy for you as a loved one of a victim before I started throwing mud at you. I get to sleep good at night doing that. You know, I mean, so it's an easy choice for me. And yes, right. I mean, Letitia Stout turned out to be very guilty. And I streamed her trial. And the minute that she was arrested and I read that affidavit, I was like, okay, okay. But that's evidence. That's enough evidence for me to make my determination of whether or not I think she's guilty or not. She could have still been exonerated in the trial. I don't see how, because the evidence was so overwhelming. The probable cause that they had to arrest her was overwhelming as it was. So to me, you know, I felt safe with that, with that much information to make my determination and feel and make my opinion. But even still, you know, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just frustrating. And right now, Don and Candace, you know, they've been going through this for 2 years. And I realize they haven't made it easy on themselves. But we should be better. You know, when it comes to the loved ones and family members of victims, we just should be better. Because you really don't know. Now, those of you guys know what I do here, and I only listen to a little bit of this. But you guys know what I do here, and if you guys are supporters of this channel, well, put on a helmet.
Jesus loves the little children.
Bro, how is that not creepy as fuck? It's just, there's something, you'll see what I mean. Like, this just goes on. You know, people do things. I play the commercials to let chat fill up. This is just to let chat fill up. That's cool. But what the fuck?
Children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Big and little, short and tall, Jesus loves us one and all. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Jesus loves the little children.
Yeah, Jesus loves the little like, share, and sub children, guys, just so you know.
All the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Big and little, short and tall, Jesus loves us one and all. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Dude, are you fucking serious?
No. Wait.
That shit was beyond creepy. There was nothing about that intro that made me go, man, I find comfort in having all this hope that Summer's okay somewhere out there. There's nothing that gave me that vibe at all. Like, at all. Yeah, we know.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, June 15th, 2023, and I cannot believe we're here. I'm so happy to be with all of you. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Rianne. Hello, Avi. Mom She made it in. Chloe made it in. I think I said hi to everybody. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. We get in here early and start chatting before the show even starts. It's a good anxiety release. Good morning, Trev. Good morning, Unicorn, Indiana. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would be here 2 years later. No way, no how. Now,
never in my dreams would I think that we would be here 2 years later, and yet no evidence to support all my empty accusations 2 years ago have come to fruition.
I posted on the community tab yesterday for the members. If you are a member, please check out the community tab because there's tons of members only content. And you will see baby CLL, because I was just getting my toes in the water, if you know what I mean. Good morning, DT.
No, we don't know what you mean.
The first show we did for Summer Wells, that was on June 16th, 2021. Well,
Oh, she's been exploiting her for just 1 day shy of 2 years.
I'm here to tell you, nothing has really changed. Nothing has really changed.
Shocker.
We do have an update from yesterday. JLR did go to the hotel room, the motel room. He knocked on the door.
The fuck's the difference whether it's a hotel or a motel?
Candace, in all her glory, opened the door and slammed it. Let me find.
Okay, so, gee, I wonder, man, Candace must be a child killer if she slammed the door on a fucking dick stump like JLR. On a guy with JLR's track record. Jeez, man, she must be a child killer for doing that. Crazy.
The picture, there she is right there. She opened it and she slammed it. That's okay. That's okay. Well, they want him in jail, but they want the person responsible for Summer's disappearance to not go to jail.
Now, somebody share me a clip. Share with me a clip where they said that. Because I do remember at one point, Dawn and Candace just being like, we don't fucking know. You know, we don't have any hope. Now, do I agree with that? For them to do that? No, I think it's shitty. But then again, I've never been in that position. Thank God. I've never been in that position. I don't know how they deal with it. Much less, I've also never been in a position where my sister went missing years ago. I've never been in a position, I said this last night, where I had hope and then gave up hope. And then the same thing happens to my daughter. So, I mean, I don't know what that's like. I don't know how they would deal with that. And y'all already know how I feel about how Don's been acting. But, you know, it's none of this shit is evidence.
Now, on what planet does that make sense, my friends?
Because I've never heard them say, we don't want the guy who, I've heard him say that I pray for forgiveness for whoever did this. But I never heard them say anything about we don't want them to go to jail. We don't want them to be held accountable. I've never heard that come out of their mouths. I mean, right here, we're just starting this and these people are being misquoted. And there's something wrong with wanting to hold JLR accountable for harassing them on a constant basis. He's already cost them their job. He's already started this trend of people going out there to where they have to relocate. They can't even live where they can't even live in the house that if Summer were to come home tomorrow, they'd be there. Think about that for a second. Because it's not crazy to think, okay? It's not crazy to think that since there is absolutely no evidence of anything, we don't know what happened to Summer. We don't even know in reality what led up to what happened to Summer. We have no evidence. That is an infinity of possibilities. When you have no information as to what happened to this child, there is an infinity of possibilities. Not just a couple, an infinity. Which means it's very possible that at any given time, for under what circumstances, I can't imagine. I mean, I guess I could if I sat here and daydreamed long enough about it. But Summer showing back up to that door where they live on Ben Hill Road, saying, Mommy, Daddy, I'm home. What's going to happen? Since they're not there now, because they can't live there in peace. They can't have that home undisturbed in case that child comes back to them. Think about that. And for some reason, it's okay with this channel that JLR knocks on their door and harasses them. And it's okay. And it's weird to her that they want him arrested for it after everything that this guy has caused. These people cannot live in peace. They haven't been convicted of anything. Not related to Summer anyway. Why don't they deserve to live in their own house and work in their own town? Based on what? Solid evidence. Based on what? That's not speculation, hearsay.
Thank you, Joy Callie, for the memberships. Look at that. Look at all the gifts coming in. Carol left memberships. On what planet does it make sense that you want a YouTuber in jail, but whoever is responsible for the disappearance of your daughter, you want them forgiven?
Bro. They didn't say we want them forgiven by the law. They said we want them forgiven by God. Like, I guarantee you, Don is going to say, I pray for them. You know what I mean? And make no mistake, Don already did this with JLR. You don't remember the first time I talked to Don Wells? I talked to Don Wells for the first time a little over a year ago. or a little under a year ago. Can't remember. But I had him up here, and I was like, are you guys going to take any action, legal action? He sounded a lot different this last time when I talked to him about, and I asked him the same question. But back then, specifically talking about JLR, Bullhorn Betty, MGL, it's like you could bring charges against them. You could file suit against them. And Don was like, no, you know, that's between him and God, blah, blah, blah. He told me this directly. So, I mean, how much does it take? You know what I mean? How much does it take? I mean, it's like this this lady's just reaching. And you notice that she just keeps that still of Candace up there like it's somehow some sort of accomplishment that JLR went and harassed her. Look, you can see Candace. Look at her. Look at her in all her glory, she said. Like,
woo! That makes no sense to me. None. These are their words, not mine. These are their words, not mine. So I hope everybody is here for the long haul because it's been 2 years and we have a...
And this is my favorite thing too. Nobody ever takes into consideration that these people can't fucking keep track of the fucking bullshit that they say because they're drunks. Don and Candace are clearly substance and alcohol abusers. Clearly. Nothing that they're going to say is credible. When you know this about these people and you've seen it with your own eyes and heard it with your own ears, you don't get to say this thing that they said was credible, but this isn't. Nothing they say is credible. Literally nothing. So you could go to one conclusion and go, oh, they're just liars, but that makes them murderers, so we're going to harass them. Or you could go, well, they're fucking drunken fucking buffoons, and I guess the cops are going to figure out and catch them because, I don't know, they're trained to do it. It's not your job to catch them on these lies. What are you going to do with those lies? What are you going to do with those lies? So here she is, and she's trying to point out that they're liars. Got it. Cool. But what do you plan on doing with those lies exactly? As a YouTuber. I mean, besides sit there and make money. Ew, look. Because all you're doing is just perpetuating a hate campaign. That's all this channel is doing. Perpetuating a hate campaign. They're not pointing out any evidence. They're not proving a case. They're not sleuthing anything. They're just trashing these parents. And getting a bunch of people in their chats, giving them money, going, oh my God, I was thinking that stupid shit and you said it. Oh. Oh, yeah, Slim Hauser, welcome. That is exactly what I do here. Welcome.
Have a lot of stuff to go through. Hope you have your coffee. Hope you have your Danish. Hope you have your bagel, however you do it. Let's get ready. First thing we're going to do. I had some comments yesterday. A few people said, you know, please on the show only talk about Summer. I'm definitely going to talk about Summer, but I can't talk about Summer without talking about the ever-changing stories of her parents.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can. What do you mean you can't? That's a you thing, by the way. That's a you thing. Because even her supporters are going, can you please just keep this about Summer? She's been missing. These are people who have hope that she is going to come home someday. These are people who simply want her to spread awareness, to use her platform in a responsible fashion, and saying, just fucking for today, can you just keep it just about Summer? I mean, these are people that know that what they're doing is just supporting a hate channel. Totally. Fucking totally. Sorry, I was looking over at chat.
I can't talk about Summer without talking about the riffraff, the deflection. First, let's start with a couple of videos of Summer.
I have done Prayer Garden before, Annabelle Roma, but yeah, I'm aware of her. But thank you. Yeah, I'm aware of her. She's on my radar, trust me. Like, look at this shit. Yeah, hold on. Let me just get this out of the way, this footage of Summer, so my chat can't say that I'm not making it about her. Let me just get this shit out of the way. But disclaimer, this is going to be about Summer. This is what I got, but I'm really here to trash her parent. Bro, what's with that music, bro? I mean, this is bizarre, bro. Cha-cha.
Again, thank you very much for being here. So we're going to go back 2 years. As we know, the 911 call was made at 6:34 p.m. I don't know who called first. Was it Dawn? Was it Can't? I don't know. We know it wasn't Grandis. Now, LTL put this together, and I love the work that was done on this. I give credit where credit's due. I'm going to drop the link to this channel in here. This is not my work. This is LTL's, because it has real coverage of the search. This was such an extensive search. Just yesterday, the TBI put this out. On June 15th, 2021, Summer Wells disappeared, leading to one of the most exhaustive and involved missing child cases we've ever investigated. And they're still investigating. Though we have no new details to share publicly, that doesn't mean there's not new details. Rest assured, we're continuing to chase every lead in order to find Summer. Now, also
So those details that they don't have to share publicly, you pointing that out as you just did, saying, publicly, that means they don't have any details. That doesn't mean they don't have any details publicly, right? So, I mean, wouldn't that make you think twice about what you're doing? Because since there's no details, you don't really have anything to fucking talk about, do you? You don't really have any basis for your fucked up opinions, do you?
So an age progression was put out yesterday. That looks a lot like a combination of Candace and Rose.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if they're not messing with their heads.
What? Bro.
You have...
Let me get into this real quick. All right. I went over this yesterday. We went over the local news station there. They did a little piece, a very short piece on the progression image, and they explained what the process was. The process for this progression image and how it's done. First of all, a person has to be missing for at least 2 years before they qualify for this. This is by the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This is their process. And also what they do is they take childhood photos of the parents and apply that along with the photos of the child, and apply these things to their result that they come up with. I don't know exactly what the process is, but that in short is what they shared with us. You think that this process, that they would go through this process with it now, this process with every single other missing person that they do these progression images of, right? Every other single person. But for this case, they're following that process to fuck with everyone. to play mind games, to make us all wonder if there's a conspiracy. What a fucking idiot.
Summer on the left and the age progression on the right. I was really surprised to see this.
Really?
Trev said they're actively investigating, and that's all we can ask for. I'm to the point that if they truly believe she just wandered off, they would be looking for her. They would be looking for her. Izzy, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for the super sticker.
We're going to bring up Shannon Georgia Peach. I also sent the link to Muscles and Mascara. I also sent the link to Trev. And we're going to get through this because this is a lot of information. Hello, good morning, Shannon.
Good morning, Brooks. That video was a tearjerker, but it was beautifully done. Very beautifully done.
Well, thank you, my friend. Trev has to take the dogs out. Mama Bear, thank you for the super sticker. You guys are too kind. You are too kind. If you saw my very to this channel, thank you, Crime Story Diva. Thank you, my friend. So this 911 call, you're going to hear the very first lie. And remember, LTL did this. I'm sharing it with you guys because I think a wonderful job was done because you see real footage of the search. Anywhere you want me to pause it, let me know. Okay.
Now, that's not out of the question. But no, I'm not just going to open up my panel. I didn't even want to do it for Don Wells, but he's the parent of a missing child. I wasn't going to refuse him, but You could email me and we could set something up. But if I review you, you absolutely have a right to come up here and defend yourself. It's just you're not going to interrupt my show to do it.
4 years old. 4 years old. We know she's 5. Okay? Lie number 1. Lie number 4 years old. We know.
Okay. Do you hear Candace or Dawn in that phone call? Do you hear one of their voices there? Because what I heard was a dispatcher. See, there's this thing when it comes to evidence called chain of custody. Okay? In a courtroom, that would never fly. You're spinning a narrative saying that was lie number 1, that they lied. Perhaps the dispatcher got it wrong. Perhaps the dispatcher was thinking, oh my God, 5 years old. My nephew's only 4. This is scary. And then confused herself as she was giving the information. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities why she said 4 instead of 5. But at no point did I hear Dawn or Candace say that to that dispatcher. But it's a lie, right?
4 years old. 4 years old. We know she's 5. Okay? Lie number 1.
Wow.
Lie number 1. She's 5. Mom went for a walk. Now she's home and can't find her. Then she changes her story the next day and said she was doing dishes. And Summer walked out the door. Then she said she was pouring her a bowl of cereal and she walked out the door. Then we hear the planting flowers story. We're on lie number 2, my friends. Let's keep track. Shannon,
Yep. 4 years, walk, the plants, I'm writing it down. And back to the 911 dispatch. That is, to me, in my opinion, Dawn called. They don't even know her birthday.
Oh,
let alone how old she was.
Your opinion. Oh, so
she's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Okay.
Nobody's going to call the dispatchers. Nobody's going to call 911 after 10 minutes. Particularly in a rural area where she could be anywhere.
You would be looking for at least 30 and then start freaking out. Let's call 911 and get their help.
No.
Nobody does that. Nobody does that. People look for their kids. In rural areas, as you're putting it, people look for their kids. Then they call 911. That's what they do.
Oh. It's a run.
Okay, so now they're repeating back to each other. That's what her father advised. She went on a run and she came back and she was gone. See, Candace makes sure to take herself out of the scenario. I was nowhere around. I was nowhere around. Can't couldn't be bothered. Can't wasn't around. I went on a walk. I went on a run. When I came back, she was gone. Now, a walk or a run could have been over to the camper. But as we saw on the Dr. Phil show, when they showed the landscape of Wells Manor,
sandwich.
you see where the dog trail is. So if she was over at the camper, she would have seen an abductor drive around, or she would have seen fucking idiots, huh? Dog trail.
Where do you get them?
Exactly.
We discussed that the other day. All right, so now it's a run, and from what I'm gathering, this is Dawn's information. And again, according to Dawn, he wasn't there. Okay, the dad's at work about an hour away trying to make his way home.
Dude, these dispatchers get shit wrong all the time. All the time. Now, a run could just mean she was going to the store. That's what, I mean, I've heard that said in the South before. I live in the South. I've heard that said before. I'm going on a run. Anybody want anything?
want to try to contact Dana? Let 302 know, and I'll probably keep going for it if you want to get determination. Yeah. Going on, go ahead. 302 has been notified. He also wanted me to just remind you to be sure check the house camper, even if they said they've already had. Yeah, well. Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members mutual aid request, search and rescue with Churchill Rescue Squad. Staging areas will be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members mutual aid request from Churchill Rescue on search and rescue. Staging areas will be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Also requesting a respond with six-wheeler and command trailer for stage 911. 506. 506. We acknowledge the page and the resource request. We've got several here at the station. We'll be around for a second. Copy acknowledge the page and resource request. 707. Go ahead. The 1043 is partner in building through to 1044. The next door. Go ahead, go rest floor. And finger.
I mean, fuck is all this, bro?
A fan of his, don't get me right, don't get me wrong. When he said because
Okay, so this,
you know, they were getting pretty anxious.
check the house, even though they said they have, check the house, even though they said they already have AKA to police. Candace was plastered drunk and high. What? How do you have that information? Where is it saying that Candace was plastered drunk and high?
Just
I forgot the last part. In your opinion. Got it.
those officers, you know, out on the property in their yard looking for Summer.
Yeah, they didn't need to be there to see that.
No.
Hey, what?
You know, out on the property in their yard said because, you know, they were getting pretty anxious seeing all those officers, you know, out on the property in their yard looking for Summer.
Yeah, they didn't need to be there to see that.
No.
What do you mean? It's their property. What do you mean? So I love this argument. I love it. I love it. If they're such great people, why did they lose all their kids, a sister missing and a child gone? You know, I know a lot of bad people in my lifetime. Known few bad parents. Don't know any killers. So I guess because they're bad people, in your opinion, because opinions vary, but because they're bad people, they must have killed this child that you have no evidence that she's even dead, which spreading that information, by the way, because I want to be clear as to why, for those of you who are new here and you don't know why I go after people who talk about this case like this, it's because spreading this information and having a large enough platform, it destroys hope. Each person that you convince that this child is dead destroys the hope that she's going to come back someday when you don't have any evidence based on anything to determine that she is deceased. This is still an active missing persons investigation. TBI has not said anything other than, as far as that goes, we are treating this like an active missing persons investigation. Everything's on the table. They've even said we don't have any information. We don't have any leads. Now, they haven't said that in a while. But, I mean, none of that shit is proof. You people need to start fucking understanding that. I'm talking to you, Carol freaking Claus. Because God forbid, because I bet you're no fucking angel the way that you're behaving in my chat. Because I hate to see the day that your child goes missing and then everybody on YouTube is throwing mud at you and digging up every single thing that you do. And you being somebody who needs to be so loud in somebody's fucking chat starts perpetuating the shit, and people have more shit to throw at you because they have your words to twist around. I hate to see that happen to you. I really hope it never does. But more importantly, I hope that you realize and put yourself in that position just for a couple of minutes, however long it takes. Put yourself in that position and ask yourself if you would want people to look at you the way that you're looking at them, based on no actual evidence. You think you're going to sit there and you're going to go, well, I totally get why they fucking think it's me. You're not going to do that. You're going to go, fuck. I just want my kid. I just want the cops to do their job. No, nobody had better booted Carol.
For the complainant or the suspect?
Is 317 on scene?
18's en route.
Detective Grant, is he on scene?
We've not been advised.
Stanford.
The trailer to 302.
Go ahead.
Britton's on scene.
I mean, none of this is evidence. This is evidence. This is evidence. Once one of those dispatchers sits on a courtroom stand and says, yeah, that's me saying this. Yeah, I clearly heard the person who called 911. Is that person in the courtroom today? Yes, that person's right there. Now they can't do that because they were on the phone. I'm just saying, none of this shit is evidence until that person gets to explain the circumstances of why they relayed that information to an officer. Until that happens, you're just taking some shit and spinning it to mean whatever you want because it riles up your chat. Oh, see, this tells me everything I need to know about this person's chat, because I love every single fucking one of your comments, bro. I love it. So you're saying someone faked this 911 dispatch call? Are you serious? Did I say that? And did I even imply that? I'm saying we don't know the circumstances as to why that dispatcher, for example, said she was 4 instead of 5. Until you get that person on a stand that can actually testify as to why they said they were 4, that she was 4 instead of 5. Like, for example, the person on the phone told me. That's the only way you can draw that conclusion as being evidence. That's why it's called presenting evidence in a court case. That's not evidence to you or me or anybody else, because we can't verify the nature of that phone call and its origin and what happened. By I mean the origin and the nature of it, I mean things that were actually said to the dispatcher. There's no way to verify what was said to the dispatcher until we can actually talk to that dispatcher. And I'll bet you anything, chances are that dispatcher is probably going to go, I don't know, man. That was at least 2 years ago. I don't remember. Could have been, sure. Could have been 4, could have been 5. I don't know. I mean,
Contact with 34. He's gonna hit you.
Yeah, boy, just about to send him over here. Just put him by his phone call, please.
Yeah, we're at Dawson.
Welcome, Christy. Oh, I love this shit, bro. I love this shit. Okay. Why am I taking up for addicts as opposed to children? How am I not taking up for children? Explain to me how you made that differentiation. Because this isn't you. This tells me everything that I need to know about you. Okay? This tells me everything I need to know about you is the nature of that question right there. Why are you taking up for addicts as opposed to children? I have a question for you. Why are you making it about addicts versus children? Why aren't you taking up for the child who just wants to come home to a peaceful, loving home? And whether or not that home's going to be loving when she gets there is none of your fucking business, and it's none of my fucking business, and it's none of anybody in this chat's fucking business or anybody else except for law enforcement and CPS. You don't get to talk about that. The bottom line is that little girl's missing, and her parents say they miss her, and there's absolutely no evidence to indicate that they had anything to do with her disappearance, at least not made available to us. So it's irresponsible for us to make those assumptions and trash her parents, making her life that much more difficult growing up if her parents are innocent of this crime. Because who do you think is going to pay for that? So, but you know, you're the one taking up for children, right? Trashing her parents without any evidence that, you know, making them out to be killers. Are they addicts? Sure. Sure. But I bet you there's a lot of addicts out there who love their kids. And the fact that they're addicts, that's for law enforcement and CPS to deal with. That's not for you to throw judgment at them because you don't know anything about them. You don't get to throw judgment at people because they don't live the way that you do. There are government agencies tasked with handling things like that. You're not one of them.
Which direction did you go? In the Mount Carmel freeway by the church. Go ahead. Central dispatch 1205. Oh, 1205, BT 97, Mount Carmel Church. 1415 to Central. 1415 to Central. 1415. Does the fire department need to set up a LZ for helicopters? That's what we were about to say. What is that?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what the
Oh, press conference, like I said, buckle up, we have a lot to go through. They called it an investigation. They said what they had come across is an investigation. If they believe she wandered off, they would not stop searching. And I know some people are going to argue, and there's a lot of people out there that 100% support.
Bro, are you experienced in leading search parties? Are you experienced in calling the shots in a missing persons investigation? Because I would think that I would want that information or that opinion from somebody with that kind of experience, or at least somebody could even say, hey, my brother leads missing persons investigations and he said this, this, and this. I'd even take that over you sitting there saying that it just because she, if she wandered off, you're saying that the fact that they stopped searching eliminates the possibility that she wandered off. That's asinine. That's asinine. Because I believe that those law enforcement professionals conducted an incredibly thorough investigation and covered the possibility of her wandering off before they called off the search. Before they, quote unquote, pulled back the search. They've even gone out there again and searched. They called for a second search and went out there. So what do you mean? How can you sit here? I mean, where do you get this logic from? It makes no sense to me. True crime with Shannon. God, I always love the people who have the true crime title in their handle, because yeah. Are you all defending Candace here? I'll tell you what we're not doing. We're not throwing mud at them for things that we don't have evidence of. That's what we don't do here. We don't throw mud at people without evidence. See, right now, I'm going over evidence that you're an irresponsible asshole. And you make money off of the name of a little girl. There's no doubt about that, because I'm proving it. Because your title at the top of that says Summer Wells. But maybe you're streaming another thing there, but let's here. I'll indulge you. Let's look at how many hashtags you have. Let's see what you've got hashtagged here. Hold on. Calamity Jade, thank you. I'm on another screen, so I can't highlight it. There is, and do no evil. I think Will has scolded and been frustrated as anyone by behavior. CND, aside from their personal problems, Summer's missing, and I couldn't have said that better myself. We only go by truth reported. Exactly. Hold on a second. Oh my God. So here's your video. And here's your video, and I'm seeing Summer Wells hashtag, Don Wells hashtag, Candace Wells hashtag, Candace Harrer hashtag, True Crime hashtag. Yeah. So look for any video in my library, where I tag Summer's name and I'm not giving an actual update from law enforcement. I dare you. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, where they have no peripheral vision. So all the child abuse, all the dodging, and thing that come across is an investigation. If they believe,
let's hear this reasoning as to why we do what we do here on this channel.
If she wandered off, they would not stop.
See right there, I love this too. Justice for Summer implies that you think she's dead. Whether you mean it to or not, it does. Sorry. Because I don't know what happened to I don't know what happened to Summer. You don't know what happened to Summer to where she requires justice. You don't have any idea. It should simply say find Summer, or find Summer Wells, or where is Summer Wells? Because that still implies that there's hope that she's out there. And since you people with no evidence are assuming that she's dead, you are eliminating hope for all of your listeners who jump on your bandwagon. And how you can do that and sleep at night is beyond me. Actually, I know how you can do it, because you convince yourself that you're doing it all for her when you're not. Because you're clearly using the child's name to pimp. Clearly, without any doubt. Like, the evidence is right there. Because your entire narrative is that these two people, Don and Candace, are murderers. And just because you may not outright say that, I don't know if you do or not, I haven't heard you say it yet, but you've said everything that indicates that she's dead and they did it. Because they're addicts. That's the logic I've heard so far. And you call yourself a true crime channel. I love it.
Stop searching. And I know some people are going to argue, and there's a lot of people out there that 100% support Dawn, Candace, and Grandis. For some reason, they have blinders on. You know, those Ray Charles glasses?
Yep.
They got the strong stuff.
Yeah. Where they have no peripheral vision. So all the child abuse, all the drinking, all the drugging, all the domestic violence, all of
See, this is right there projecting. I love it. This is clearly projecting, because if you clip what I said earlier and play that, okay, I'm the one pointing out that you people are down this one path that Dawn and Candace are responsible for what happened to Summer, whatever happened. Okay? But I'm the one saying, well, we don't have any evidence of anything yet, so there is an infinite sea of possibilities as to what happened to her. And I'm the one with the blinders on between the two of us? Okay. Thank you for calling out these heifers. You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
all of that stuff, they say they can't judge.
That goes along with this whole thing. You can't discount that. They were the parents, so-called parents.
Candace was the last adult to see her.
Exactly.
Even beyond, being the parents, that's enough to look into. And then you've got her being the last person to see Summer. I mean, what more do you need to say? Hey,
Ronnie Lawson
it's kind of
lying
suspicious.
about what? Yeah, if I remember correctly, there had to be a press conference after Ronnie Lawson has said that they stopped cooperating and that they lawyered up. And then there was a press conference where they didn't exactly apologize for it, but they kind of implied that there's a lot of misinformation going on, and we're here to correct the misinformation. But do Don and Candace seem like they have lawyers to you? Because I'll tell you this much. A, they don't have the money for a lawyer. They're appointed one by court if they're charged. They're only obligated. They only have the right to an attorney appointed to them if they're charged with a crime, with the specific crime that they're being charged with. Okay? So tell me what criminal lawyer that gets paid would ever let their clients not only start a YouTube channel, but go on every single other YouTube channel shit-faced drunk, talking and talking and talking and giving people reasons to twist their words around. What fucking lawyer would do that? So that is a clear common sense indication to me that they do not have lawyers, because you don't spend money on a lawyer, the kind of money that a lawyer costs, and not do what that lawyer advises you to do. Nobody does that. Nobody smart enough to obtain the money that that kind of lawyer costs is going to be stupid enough to not follow their lawyer's advice to that degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
And then they call the police after 10 minutes. A family of criminals doesn't like to get the police involved in something they don't have to.
Nope.
Yeah,
And
and the
it's
10
quick.
minutes, exactly. And you know, I live in an area like theirs, and I'm going to be searching the woods, yelling, you know, getting the neighbors involved. That's going to take more than 10 minutes right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been out there, and like the distance you can travel on that terrain in 10 minutes is not very far.
Right.
So if she had been wandering and it had only been 10 minutes, she could be within, you know, possibly an earshot. Unless she's running, you know, if she's walking, you can likely still find her, get to her.
And she didn't have much food that day or water. So I think her little body was exhausted and hungry and tired. If that's, you know, if what we know of was Skittles and an icy.
And let's not forget, a wandering child is doing exactly that. They're wandering. You yell for a child, they're going to yell back. Let's not forget, in the last month, a child was found in these exact woods within 6 hours.
Yep.
These dogs know what they're doing.
Yep.
Go ahead and say your line, real please.
That's exactly why nobody thinks that she wandered off. Okay? But, I mean, think about it. I mean, just because they found this child within 6 hours, you don't know. This is terrain that is completely unpredictable. This is terrain that is so unpredictable that they could not, in good conscience, allow the community to volunteer in the search because it was so dangerous that they only wanted professionals out there searching for Summer. Like, you don't know the circumstances of what happened when she was out there wandering the woods. If she was out there wandering the woods. Do you think that they would have stopped after 6 hours searching for the other child that went missing there? Do you think they would have stopped after 6 hours and been like, it's been 6 hours, man, we better pull it back? No. They'd keep searching for at least as long as it took them to search for Summer before they pulled their search back. And it was for days, man. It was weeks. It's weeks. Because there's so much shit out there that could have happened to her. So to make that ridiculous point, oh, well, they found him in 6 hours. So if Summer was out there, they would have found her in 6 hours. I mean, that's not exactly what you said, but that's exactly what you implied. That it was ridiculous to think that she wandered off based on that. True Crime Dime, thank you so much. Wells aren't smart enough to trick 18 LE agents. Search 4,000 acres multiple times. They can't manage their daily life. They aren't masterminds. Thank you for finally making that point. I make this point all the time. And I'll elaborate a little more for our new listeners since you're here. Why in the fuck would you think that these people have been able to fool the whole world for the last 2 years, including 3 different professional law enforcement agencies? Because I understand maybe if you're thinking just the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, because they don't have a lot of resources, they don't have a lot of experience with this, it's difficult. But the TBI do. And the FBI definitely does. So you're going to tell me that these people who are too stupid to keep their fucking mouths shut all over YouTube have fooled the whole world and pulled off the perfect missing persons crime for the past 2 years, and they're in your face about it? I don't think so, man. That dog just don't hunt. That dog just don't hunt. Oh my God, bro. More of this shit.
Just available for calls. We do have a pending well break text.
Okay, so they also called in a welfare check, you heard, and they said, we're going to switch to another channel so people can't pick up what they're talking about. Something already told them that this is not going to be simple.
Right. This is not, she just wondered about something else sinister is going
Oh my God, I don't care.
on here.
And no parents, house.
You guys are fucking ridiculous. That doesn't say anything. There could be a 100 reasons. Are you a cop? Do you handle dispatch? Are you a dispatcher? Do you have a list, a protocol as to why they might switch to another channel? I mean,
However scummy they are, whatever their habits are, if they believe that their child is somewhere on their property, they're going to be searching hell or high water. Hello, Tamara.
they were.
302. I heard 34 10 which other unit? 14 and 5. What other unit is 10 We're going to go 10 302 popping up. LZ Command Central. LZ Smith. Helicopters in on ground. Your other units to go 10 and while Royal Wisconsin's over here take care of county. 29 circles. 29 circles. 49's over here with us. They were working with you won't be able to reach him. Econ 302. Yes, copy, sir. 10-4% of your 34, go ahead.
What is this for content? Like, all right, let's move on.
In the puppy, it looks like Dawn's behind her with a shotgun. I don't know if anybody noticed that. I just thought that was weird.
I've heard it's Dawn. I've heard it's Hunter. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I never noticed it. I just thought I'd bring that up. It's irrelevant, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Here's a little sample.
Man, jeez. Well, that changes everything, guys. I got to tell you, I quit. Because that's the fucking strangest thing I've ever heard in my life, man. I have never heard of a Tennessean posing in a picture with a shotgun. Never heard of that shit in my fucking life. That changes everything. Dude, you guys, I don't know even what to do anymore.
Explosion.
Wow. Okay. I think my mind's over being blown here. Let me let's go.
Of how truthful Can't is. Here's just a little sample of how truthful she is.
I don't know about Jackie Dobbs. I just heard about him. I don't know about Jody Sue. You know, I've talked to Jody Sue time and time again, and every time she talks to me, her story has changed.
Like and how? Like and how?
Okay, like, for instance, like, she said that she was down on the bottom after she heard somebody scream or whatever. She was never at the bottom of that driveway. I drove down there faster than she could fucking fly.
Okay. So she said, so the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was no scream, right?
There's no scream, dude. She makes all that shit up. Why? I can't lie. It's not in my metabolism.
Okay.
Now, if she was standing down there, was that after Summer had done, came up missing?
I don't know when she got down there. I just know when I drove down to my mom's truck, she was down there.
Okay.
Was she already looking, or was she doing something different?
She was just standing on the corner.
Very, very interesting.
Right.
Was it surprising? You coming down the drive, knowing your daughter?
Yes, because usually Jody Sue don't walk around. Why? I can't lie.
You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding
Oh
me.
my
So
God.
something as simple as, did you see your neighbor or not? Right there in that clip. All Jody Sue does is lie, which she does. Jody Sue.
I mean, she clearly contradicted herself there, but and are you a cop? Because this is the thing, is I'm very weary. I do not like having these people on my panel, in my chat. I don't like that shit at all because I don't want to be part of anything like that, because that right there is proof that Candace was not being honest. Or again, it's proof that you can't take either thing that she said seriously because she is an addict and a drunk. If I was her defense attorney, I'd be like, and a prosecutor wouldn't even use this stuff because it's not credible. None of it's credible at all. I mean,
Then she says, I can't lie, it's not in my metabolism. Then she's on another show, same week, saying she saw Jody Sue.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Was she there? Was she not?
Well, she was both.
So she said. So the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was no scream, right?
There's no scream, dude. She makes all that shit up. Why? I can't lie. It's not in my metabolism.
okay.
You can't lie.
Wait a
You
second.
can't lie.
Was she there? Was she not?
Well, she was both.
Why? I don't drive no down there.
Now, if she was standing down there, was that after some?
So
she said, "No, I'll talk to Jody."
Can't is. Here's just a little sample of how truthful she is.
I don't know about Jackie Dobbs. I just heard about him. I don't know about Jody Sue. I've talked to Jody Sue time and time again, and every time she talks to me, her story has changed.
Like and how?
Okay, like for instance, like she said that she was down on the bottom after she heard somebody scream or whatever. She was never at the bottom of that driveway. I drove down there faster than she could fucking fly.
Okay. So she said. So the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was no
Okay,
scream.
yeah, because I want to make sure I didn't mishear it. As I said, it's not evidence of a crime in the slightest bit. It's evidence that she can't get her story straight. But that doesn't mean that she's a killer. It's evidence that this is someone who has trouble remembering the last day, much less any other day. If I was a defense attorney, I could absolutely tear that apart. If that's all you got is her contradicting details on YouTube channels, I mean, come on.
Your neighbor or not, right there in that clip. All Jody Sue does is lie, which she does. Jody Sue. Then she says, I can't lie, it's not in my metabolism. Then she's on another show, same week, saying she saw Jody Sue.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Was she there? Was she not?
Well, she was both.
So she said. So the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was.
Or her and this Jody Sue person is their relationship is something that has nothing to do with Summer, and all of these YouTubers are just focused on Jody Sue and her relationship. And at some point, maybe she just wanted to call Jody Sue a liar. Because there's also a vast amount of reasons as to why she would actually lie. Let's just say she wasn't. It's not because she was drunk. Maybe it's because she's a liar. Is it because she's trying to cover up what happened to Summer? Not necessarily. Could just mean that she was trying to discredit Jody Sue because Jody Sue has inserted herself into all this. And lest we forget, these same people are also calling Jody Sue a liar. Now, we at this channel, We don't pay attention to the Jody Sue stuff. We don't pay attention to the Hunter stuff. We don't pay attention to the Hunter's mom stuff. That stuff, it's not evidence. It's not evidence in the slightest bit. It's a bunch of people who are talking about something that is, it's just a bunch of people that are wanting to be on YouTube channels. I mean, this Hunter kid was acting like he was a star on a TV show. As I was watching it, I was like, I don't believe anything this person's saying. That's when I really stopped paying attention to any of this stuff. I was like, this has fucking gotten crazy. And that was 2 years ago. I was like, this is just a bunch of people wanting to insert themselves in this thing. And then there was Hunter's dad who showed up at some point. I was like, what in the fuck? And I spent the entire time going, all you're doing is making this case more complicated. It is all you're doing. None of this shit is credible. By taking any of the things that any of these people are saying, hell, the things that Candace and Dawn are saying are not credible. Amy Madison, thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, on YouTube like me, but I don't do that shit. And I do just fine. I do just fine. I never have to just take hearsay from people and spin it to mean what I want it to mean in order to entertain people who just want to throw mud at people with no evidence. I just don't, I don't have to do that. I never have. Like you can still do what you do. And it's a shame because this is a very organized creator. If this creator just focused on the facts, they would probably blow up. I mean, it's just so funny how greedy these people are because they look at it like, oh, well, I just got a bunch of people in my chat because I started talking about this and I was saying this and this and this, and then they get on a roll. And then they're like, oh, I got to get that again. They get this YouTuber adrenaline rush. I have it. It happens. I get super excited when there's a lot of people. I'm like, wow, this is great. But I don't feel the need to make shit up. You know? And I understand that some of the things that I'm passionate about, by sacrificing doing that and having, honestly, the legal right to do it, I'd probably get more subscribers. But I sacrifice that knowing that that's not the narrative. That's not what's going to get me more views. And it's simply because I don't want that on my head later on that this person was innocent. Like, I see my YouTube channel as a gift. I'm super grateful for this platform that I have. But I love the fact that I built it on exactly Rick Ramey. I built it on integrity. I'm very proud of that. Because I built this on integrity, I could be happy with 5,000 subs, 18,000 subs, or 100,000 subs. I'm never, ever going to be unhappy with the audience that I've built because they're good-hearted people who care about these cases, but simply want the truth. And they don't just care about the victims in the case, but they care about and empathize with the loved ones of these victims, because it's a question of what if it's you? God forbid you have to go through that. Because then you make this whole this whole spin. And you know what? You do that and you do it so fast, you're just going to burn out. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to catch up to you. It happens to all the best. It's just going to catch up to you because one of these days you're going to be dead wrong. You're going to be dead wrong about somebody and people are going to go, fuck. And then your audience, who's so quick to fucking throw people under the bus, they're going to throw you under the bus. They're going to go, well, I don't even want to be connected with that person anymore. And then they turn on you in another chat. I've seen it happen 100 times. I mean, and I never have to worry about that. I never have to worry about that. Like, I'll take that over getting a shit ton of subs real fast and making a shit ton of money at one time that, you know, I'd rather build to that. I mean, and like I said, I can do it guilt-free with integrity because I engage with integrity. And I'm very proud of that. Now, hold on a second. All right. Actually, guys, I am not. Yeah, my app is not working. My burner phone app is not working. So the number that I have here is I can't open the app for some reason. So I will get that worked out soon, but or I'll just have to get a new number, but I'm not going to sit here and go through that right now. So unfortunately, yeah, I'm not going to be able to take any calls. But and I planned on going for another 15 minutes. Anyways, guys, she's like, thank fuck. No, man, I was actually looking forward to taking calls because I hadn't done that in a while. So and yes, and Perfectly Imperfect has been sharing this this entire live stream, and thank you for dropping all these links, but this one is very good. Just, you know, vet your sources before you make up your mind. That's all I'm saying. Vet your sources. I'll change the title, don't worry. Vet your sources before you change your mind. And no, I'm telling you, I have no problem talking to anybody. My track record speaks for itself. Those of you that are new here, that's fine if you feel that way, but I have no problem talking to anybody directly, especially people who disagree with me. So what I will do, like I said, and if the host of that show wants to confront me directly, they can email me and we can set something up. And I'll even do it on their channel. I have no problem doing that. So, but the just vet your information better is all I'm saying. You know, having opinions based on no facts of people and then justifying the opinions that someone is a murderer because you don't agree with the way that they live their life. That's I can't imagine doing that myself. I can't imagine doing that myself. But the easiest way is, you know, I'm no angel. Lord knows there was a time in my life where I was even a lot worse. And I don't want my personal life blasted all over the place because I'm suffering from a tragedy that I didn't have anything to do with. I didn't bring on. I don't want to live with the possibility that someone who's going through an unimaginable situation, I'm adding to making it worse. I don't want to, I don't want to have to struggle with that. Shit, a lot of it is just plain laziness. I have too much of a conscience and my conscience fucks with me. And I don't want to deal with it. You know, I just want to, you know, but I care a lot about these cases and I care a lot about these victims and I care a lot about their loved ones. And I want to follow these cases without, you know, I mean, there was a time where these things didn't happen to victims and their families. There was a time where all you had to do was just turn on the TV and watch for updates, and that was all you could do. And when the time came that a law enforcement officer knocks on someone's door and then places them under arrest, and then there's an update on that, then it's, oh, okay, because you've been following it. You've been reading it in the newspaper. Like, it doesn't occur to people that this problem came when people had the ability to directly attack someone because they have this amazingly vast platform called the internet. And you do this on a mass level and it victimizes people. And before this internet thing, this wasn't a problem. And that doesn't tell me that the internet's the problem. That tells me that we have this amazing tool that is used for so much good, and we decide to use it to victimize people who are already victimized. It's just irresponsible, and it's a shitty thing to do. It's just like, you know, I mean, if you're if you're somebody who is pro Second Amendment and you believe, hey, you know, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Well, the internet doesn't victimize people, victimize people. It's all of those people that are using their brains to just go in one direction without any evidence and then putting their thoughts out there and spreading it on the internet. And then that spread of people end up calling a tip line and flooding up and taking up resources that could be used properly to find a missing person. Because there's no evidence that this child is anything but missing. And it's just irresponsible and shitty of us, frankly, to think of her as anything else. Because it takes away hope that she could be found. And I'm not ready to give up that hope that she's out there somewhere scared. Best case scenario. But anyways, guys, I am going to wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Again, I'll get this phone thing fixed and we'll talk. And if Crimes, Lies, and Lies, what a name. It's pretty self-explanatory. If they want to contact me, you can email me. My email is in my about section on this channel. So reach out to me and we can set something up, and I am willing to do it on your channel. Anyways, guys, I love you very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.